2-month playoff going into today, Michael Matz, and then if you're lucky enough to go to the Derby, 5 weeks. Why, in your opinion, is less more?
We're just trying to make this very simple, and I want to go to the Derby if we get past today with a real fresh horse.
You have enough earnings. What do you have to do today for him to convince you that he belongs in Louisville?
Well, I mean, I think he has to run a real good race today. I mean, barring he doesn't get in trouble someplace, but finishing strong, and I think he has to run a good race.
Best of luck to you.
Thank you, Bob.
All right, Michael Matz, Tom Hammond, back to you.
All right, Bob, and of course, Barbaro unbeaten in 4 starts, but his first 3 starts were on grass, and then his only time on dirt, it was a sloppy track, so it'll be his first race today on a fast track, and as we've already mentioned, breaking from that number 10 post position with that short run to the first turn. In fact, Donna, our former jockey as well, give us a bird's eye view of what it's like to start from the 10 hole heading to that first turn.
Well, Tom, as you can see, the gate is just now going into position behind me, so I'm not able to get into the starting gate, but I can show you that I'm closer to the outside fence from the 10 hole than I am the inside fence. Barbaro's going to have to break from the gate, and he's going to have to use this horse to try to get down here to the inside fence as quickly as possible to save ground. That's easier said than done when you've got 9 horses in front of you, so he might have to grab hold of this horse like this and drop in behind the front runners in order to try to save position. But it's an awfully tough impost to be in the 10 post position, and I think it's worth noting, Tom, that in the last 2 years here at Gulfstream Park, all the races going a mile and an eighth, there's been 15 horses who've had an opportunity to break from the 10 post. Not one of them yet has come away with a win.
Didn't like that. He's
right, and this right here could change the directions that Michael Matz is going to give Edgar Prado. They've already talked about strategy, what they're going to do, but when a horse is on edge like that, he's probably going to go out and tell Edgar, listen, try and keep him quiet during the post parade. He's a little bit stirred up today, and just do your best to keep him quiet.
right. Let's check the odds here as Barbaro continues to reign as the favorite. He is 8-5. Flashy Bull at 7-2 is the second choice. 9-2 on Sun River. Sharp Humor at 5-1, and the 8-5 favorite is Barbaro. He's an old salt, one of the 2 Zito-trained colts, winner of his only start at Gulfstream, but soundly beaten in his 2 stakes efforts. Number 2, Flashy Bull, son of Holy Bull, who sired last year's Kentucky Derby winner Giacomo. In fact, he ran in the Holy Bull Stakes here, finishing 4th to Barbaro, then was moved to 2nd in the Fountain of Youth, owned by a syndicate of 17 investors, West Point Thoroughbreds. Number 3, St. Augustus, owned by Dogwood Stable. Cott Campbell, in fact, pioneered that syndicate ownership of racing stock. This colt named for a character in the book and movie Lonesome Dove. His 7th race around 2 turns and a wire-to-wire winner at a mile and an eighth here at Gulfstream, his last start. Number 4, Doc Cheney, the other Zito horse, named for popular racetrack vet Mark Cheney. Only 4 starts and only 1 at a mile and an eighth. He was 2nd to St. Augustus in that one. Number 5, Sun River, trainer Pletcher, jockey Velasquez, hot today, the Eclipse Award winners the last 2 years. This colt a full brother to the 2-time Eclipse Award winning filly Achado. He was 7th in his only stakes race, the Holy Bull. The 6 horse Rehoboth, that's Beach Town in both Delaware and Massachusetts, trained by Frank Gomez, the first Florida Derby start for the 2nd all-time leading trainer at Calder across town. He was 5th at 66-1 in the Fountain of Youth. Number 7, Sharp Humor, expect him to go to the front from Mark Guidry and trainer Dale Romans. Those tactics have taken him to 3 straight wins, but he's never been this far. Number 8, High Blues, makes his stakes debut, his 9th career start. Owned by Dixiana Stables, Bill Shively purchased that historic Kentucky farm a couple of years ago. Dixiana's had Kentucky Derby starters dating back to 1929. Number 9 is Charming Image, winner of 3 straight claiming races after being claimed for $25,000 in December. But the way the preps have gone this year, why not take a shot at the big bucks? Number 10, Barbaro, the favorite, but still with a lot of questions to answer. Normally stalks the pace, pouncing in the stretch, looking to go 5-4-5. And number 11 is Sam's Ace, racing outside California for the first time, a former claimer making his first stakes start. And that's the field for the 55th running of the Florida Derby. And Barbaro is still the favorite. He is now at 9-8 Florida Derby. As we check the odds, Flashy Bull still at 4-1. He and Sun River, the co-second choices, 6-1 on Sharp Humor, and 9-5 with the favorite. Let's check in now with our handicappers, Mike and Bob, see who they like.
All right, Tom, we don't agree on much, but I think we're in accord here that we think Barbaro's vulnerable today. Why?
Well, he can win, but Edgar Prado has to put on a perfect ride. This is going to be a tough assignment for Prado. This race could be won or lost in the first turn. If Prado elects to go up and run with Sharp Humor, he could have no horse left. If he takes back, he can get hung wide. That's why I kind of like Sharp Humor in here. I think he's going to be the horse to make the lead. As a matter of fact, I know he is. Dale Romans told me earlier this afternoon that he will be in front. And if anybody runs with him, Dale might not win, but whoever runs with him is not going to win. So Dale's going out there telling Guidry to make the lead, and the track's been speed favoring. I'm taking Sharp Humor.
I understand, but there's a big question to see if he can go a mile and eighth. That's why I like a grinder, flashy bull. I like a horse that has been around this racetrack. He's been 2 turns, and Flashy Bull has done that twice, including the recent Fountain of Youth, when he was battling for the lead in a race that featured First Samurai and the eventual winner, Corinthian, who was disqualified. There's the spot shadow on Flashy Bull. And you're going to see Corinthian on the fence come over and smash First Samurai, who ultimately catapults into Flashy Bull, costing him his chance. But he grinds enough that I think he might be able to get the job done today. Plus, he's owned bike by the West Point Syndicate that includes former Wisconsin Governor Tommy Thompson and former Flyer defenseman Chris Terrian.
You're just a hockey guy. You've always been a hockey guy.
If this horse goes all the way, Flashy Bull will be eating his oats from the Stanley Cup if he wins the Kentucky Derby. Tom, back to you.
All right, Bob. Well, they're picking against the favorite, but the fans continue to like Barbaro. 8-5 now on the favorites, despite the number 10 post and the first start on a fast track, and despite the layoff as well. Coming up to the starting gate now, less than 2 minutes away from the start of the Florida Derby. And Donna Brothers out there with them on horseback. Everything all in order?
Yeah, all the horses look great. Of course, they should look great this time of year as they're prepping for the Kentucky Derby, or at least they're birthed into it. The 8, High Blues, has gotten a little bit hot, and he looks a little bit reluctant to go forward. But Gary Stevens talked about the way Edgar Prado would warm up Barbaro would be sort of a telltale sign. And he did bring him out onto the track and kind of kept him quiet at first. As Gary mentioned, he got a little stirred up in the in the saddling area. But he hasn't stopped warming him up until the horses had to get in line to go to the gate, which indicates to me that he's planning on leaving there chasing after Sharp Humor if he has a shot to do it.
Donna, I was thinking the same thing. I was just watching the end of his warm-up there, and he looks like he's calm, he's cool, and Edgar is putting him on his toes. He's going to come away from there running, I think. He's going to try and follow Mark Guidry and Sharp Humor into the first turn and try and get that first split and lay second or third, I hope, going into the first turn. That's the horse I like today. I'm going to stick with the hot horse right now, Barbaro.
And he is at 8-5, so you expect him to be running with Sharp Humor and to get a little position from that number 10 post position as they head that short run to the first turn. As you see, the horses are loading into the gate. The 55th running of the Florida Derby. The run for the Orchids, 1.125 miles. The purse is $1 million, with the Kentucky Derby looming 5 weeks from today. And there you see the 7-horse Sharp Humor going into the gate. They continue to load with High Blues in next. And for the call of the Florida Derby, let's go to Tom Durkin.
And there is the favorites, and the odds board reads 8-5. Post position. About a run of a 16th of a mile or so before they hit that first turn of 2. The last horse will enter the gate. Sam's Ace from California at 30-1. Ready for the 55th Florida Derby, and they are off. And Sun River broke first, and so too there goes Sharp Humor with that expected speed. And from the inside, he's an old salt, and Eddie Castro is intent on the lead with him from the inside post, and Barbaro's right up there too. So Prado is very close to the expected front runner, Sharp Humor. Sharp Humor is the leader, and Barbaro not far behind. He's right there running in second, and he's an old salt with blinkers today. Up close to the pace, he's running third down toward the inside. Sam's Ace is now fourth. Flashy Bull is fifth, and in between horses, St. Augustus is sixth. Sun River settles back in seventh position, about 7 lengths from the front. Doc Cheney, his stablemate, is just to his inside, and it's 2 lengths back to High Blues, followed by Rehoboth and the trailer. About 12 lengths from the leader, Sharp Humor, is Long Shot, Charming Image. So they run up the back stretch, a first quarter of 23 and 2/5 seconds, and they get the half here in 47-1. The pace is honest enough, and the leader is still Sharp Humor. Barbaro turning up that pressure as they hit the half-mile pole here now. 4 furlongs to run. Sam's Ace has asked for his best. He's driving up third on the outside now. He's an Old Salt is under a busy ride, still running along in fourth. And Sun River is called on for more there by Johnny Velasquez. They're about 4 lengths from the lead. Flashy Bull is called on for his best as well, but he's in behind horses in sixth, and they're moving toward the top of the stretch. Sharp Humor clinging to a tenuous lead. Barbaro is right at his throat latch now. And just in behind them, he's an Old Salt down toward the inside. Sam's Ace is under the whip. Here comes Sun River now running up on the far outside. Top of the stretch, Florida Derby. Sharp Humor digs down toward the inside, and Barbaro trying to lug in there. Sharp Humor is a stubborn foe, and Barbaro's doing his best to get by. Those two nipping tough down to the line. Barbaro, Sharp Humor. Barbaro forges to win by a hard-fought half length over a stubborn foe and Sharp Humor today. Finishing third was Sun River, was a photo for fourth. He's an Old Salt or Sam's Ace. And the final time here was 1 minute and 49 seconds flat. Well, Barbaro had to earn it today, defeating a very game Sharp Humor. Barbaro undefeated and on his way to the Kentucky Derby.
And he'll arrive at Churchill Downs 5 for 5 as Michael Matz accepts congratulations after his colt looked Sharp Humor right in the eye. Sharp Humor didn't give an inch, and the two battled the length of the stretch before Barbaro was able to put him away under Edgar Prado, who now has a momentous decision to make about his mount at Churchill Downs, and you have to think he was impressed with the courage, Gary, of his colt today.
I think he's probably going to keep his mouth shut for the next couple of weeks, but he's made his decision right there. I was very, very impressed. He showed good tactical speed going into the first turn, was carried a little bit wide just going into the turn, but settled just off of a honest pace there, and you didn't see Edgar really go to work hard until the last eighth of a mile, and it was a true battle. That'll toughen him up for the Kentucky Derby. He got tested today. There's no more questions whether he can handle a fast dirt track. It wasn't sloppy today. Everything went perfect for him.
And the winning jockey, Edgar Prado, is with Donna.
Edgar, that was very well done. Barbaro answered a lot of questions today about the fast dirt surface, about the 10-post position, and about his ability to handle the distance. What kind of questions did he answer for you?
Well, first I want to say this is winning for my mother.
Edgar said that Edgar's mother's passed away in February after a long illness.
And he cleared a lot of questions today. He's a real nice horse. He handled everything very well. He kind of put the brakes a little bit when he took the lead. You know, it's the game, got a light over there. But I was very happy with his performance today.
You rode him with a lot of confidence going into the first turn. You weren't able to just jump out there, and getting good position wasn't easy. Was it hard to ride him with that kind of confidence in such a full field?
Well, he broke running out of the game, and all what I did is take the light hold, try to slow him down and save it for the end. I mean, he did the whole job. I was a nice, happy passenger.
You're going to have some tough decisions to make. Next week, you ride Key to Entry in the Wood Memorial. The following week, you're going to ride Strong Contender, the horse of John Ward's. When do you have to decide who your Derby mount's going to be?
Well, I love to be in the situation. I hope every year it'll be like this. You know, we decided in the next couple of days, in the next couple of weeks, we talk with my agent, Bob Fries. But so far, we should play day by day, see what happens.
Good luck to you, Edgar. Bob Newmeyer, we go to you.
With winning trainer Michael Matz. Compare this with the Olympic equestrian stuff that you were so good at.
I'll tell you one thing, I wasn't this nervous walking into the Olympic Games.
Are you on to the Kentucky Derby now after this victory?
Let's see how he comes out, but I would think so.
Now, to win this race now off a 8-week layoff, I think speaks to your training ability, and you know you're going to get asked a zillion times about the 5-week layoff. It hasn't happened since Needles 50 years ago. How are you going to deal with that question from the press as we go to Louisville?
It's about time, 50 years, it's going to happen again.
Can this horse do it, do you think?
I don't see why he can't.
Congratulations, man.
Thank you, Bob.
Michael Matz, and what a training job, Tom Hammond. 2 months off the bench to outgame a very keen, sharp humor here in the Florida Derby. Great stuff.
Yeah, well done. And he looked very seasoned despite only having 5 career starts as he came down the stretch hooking with Sharp Humor. What a stretch battle it was. You see the payouts. He paid $5.20 as the betting favorite. The exacta, $18. Trifecta, superfecta payoffs as well. Barbaro, owned by the Lael Sable of Gretchen and Roy Jackson of West Grove, Pennsylvania. That word means loyalty in Gaelic. And we'll see how loyal Edgar Prado is when it comes to choosing his Kentucky Derby mount. as Barbaro certainly was impressive today. And so Gary was Sharp Humor. He didn't give it up easily.
No, he showed a lot of gameness there. That was his first time around 2 turns today. First time he'd been over 7 furlongs. He jumps into a 1 1/8 and battle like that. He's going to gain a lot today as well. He didn't lose anything in defeat today. One thing that I like about this prep race today is with these new surroundings here at Gulfstream Park and the paddock area. It's very, very enclosed and very tight. And for these horses to be able to get through that atmosphere and get out onto the racetrack and keep their composure, that's something that's very, very important when you get to Churchill Downs as well.
Yeah, with 120,000 people there, sometimes it's the undoing of some of those horses. So Barbaro, the colt by Dynaformer out of La Ville Rouge by Carson City, bred at Kentucky by Mr. and Mrs. M. Roy Jackson. Let's take a look at some of the replays, Gary, including starting right out of the gate.
Yeah, you see Barbaro get a real sharp break there. He lost his rear end a little bit, but collected himself very, very quickly, which shows me what an athlete he is. Edgar's just sitting quiet on him. Looks like he could get hung about 5 wide here, and he just slides over into a nice spot. Edgar's got a nice long cross, his feet in the dashboard, and he's just going comfortable.
And pick him up down the backside.
Well, as they turn into the backside, it's just a matter of being patient on Edgar's part. The horse is in a nice, long, fluid gallop right now. Edgar's happy with his position. Mark Guidry's very, very happy with his position, obviously, on Sharp Humor, with speed winning all day long today. He's controlling the pace right here. And as we come into the stretch right here, you'll see that Edgar actually gives his horse a couple of strikes with the right-handed whip, nothing where he's really punishing the horse. And actually, Mark Guidry goes to the whip after Edgar Prado does. And usually in these races, when a battle starts, he who goes to the whip last usually wins. Well, that wasn't true here. Edgar started a little bit before Mark did, but I was equally impressed with Sharp Humor's effort as I was Barbaro.
Well, Barbaro does just best Sharp Humor. There you see him a little erratic in his running through the stretch. He appeared to lug in a little bit one time and ducked out just before the finish there, but no harm done. And he certainly showed his courage as his trainer, Michael Matz, who has his own way about doing it, relying on that experience as an equestrian rider. The complete horseman came in off a long layoff, faces a long layoff before he goes to Churchill Downs, but had his colt ready today. Hung right in there. Sun River runs third and probably gets enough graded earnings to get him into the Kentucky Derby. As you see the rest of the order of finish, the 11 horses in the Florida Derby.
But really no blood, no foul. So as expected, Sharp Humor is up to take the lead, and Prado's going to put Barbaro exactly where he has been in every one of his first 4 races. He has been second at the half-mile call in all of his first 4 races, and they all, of course, wound up him being the winner. Edgar Prado not asking for much right here. The pace, as I mentioned during the call, was relatively soft. The first quarter goes in 23 and 2/5 seconds. And there you can see, look where Edgar Prado's feet are in the dashboard, as Gary Stevens said. And he's got a very good hold, tight hold on Barbaro. He does not obviously want to go by at this point, even though he certainly has the speed and the talent to go by, because the half mile was 47 and 1/5 seconds. And kudos, too, to Mark Guidry, who's on the lead here with Sharp Humor. Their half mile on the swale was 44 and 2/5 seconds, and he was able to slow him down, get him to do a 47 and 1/2 mile comfortably. So now, there are 3.5 furlongs to go. Now he starts to ratchet up the pressure on Barbaro. Barbaro now coming right to the throat latch of Sharp Humor, and the race is on here with 3 furlongs to go. And this was a perfect setup for the Kentucky Derby for Barbaro. Why? Because it toughened him up. He is battle toughened now, and when he comes to the top of the stretch at Churchill Downs, gasping with 2 more furlongs to go after running a mile already, that's when his heart is going to have to kick in. And he showed us today he has heart. Now he's got 5 weeks to recover from this pretty tough race, and a very tough customer indeed in Sharp Humor. Lugging in just a little bit, that's allowed, and he'll come out just a little bit at the end. But all in all, just an absolutely perfect performance for Michael Matz here, and a gold medal performance indeed by Barbaro in the Florida Derby, Tom.